Hey Sue family, so I'll be teaching us how to read a measuring tape for beginners. This is a measuring tape and it comes in two sides, okay? So this side is the inches side while this other side is the cm side, okay? That is the centimeters, okay? But in this part of the world, we get to use the inches, okay? So we'll be concentrating on knowing how to read this, okay? So tape also comes in 60 inches long, okay, 60 inches long, and we also have some that comes in 120 inches, especially for those that makes bridal dresses, so they'll need a longer tape. But for a beginner, this will serve the purpose. You can just get this one. So we're going to learn how to read a tape. So when you buy your tape, it's actually going to come, this area is going to come with this iron. So I've actually removed the iron that was here. That will help me to read the tape correctly. Okay, so when you get yours, on this part that you have the 1 inch, you can just go ahead to carefully remove the iron, just open it, but make sure you're not cutting the tape. Just lift it up and take out the iron so you can be able to see these lines. That way to help you to read the tape correctly. All right, so like I explained, we're going to be using this inches side. You're going to learn how to read the inches side. Let me quickly take you through how to read this tape. Okay, so all these lines are equal lines that are apart from each other, and all these lines came together to form 1 inches. But in between this line, you should understand what it stands for. The major lines we are going to be needing, I'm going to point it out to you so that you know this, because you may not be able to always deal with those fractions as a beginner. All right, so this is 1/8, the first line. We have the second line, 2/8. Now 2/8 is actually quarter. Okay, we're going to get back to this. This is actually a 1/4 inch. All right, and then we have 3/8, and then we have 4/8, which is actually the 1/2 inch. Okay, we have 5/8, we have 6/8. All right, we have 7/8, and then we have 1 inch. There's nothing like 8/8, so we have 1 inch. So like I said, this is quarter. You can see how the line is even longer than the rest of the line. You can see 1/2 inches is actually longer than this, and then you can see 1 full inches is longer than the rest. So the significant lines here are this, and this, which is the 1/4 inch here. You can call this quarter so that it doesn't confuse you. So when we talk about quarter, we know we are talking about 2/8. Okay, and when we talk about 1/2 inches, you're talking about 4/8. So instead of just calling it 4/8, for it not to confuse you, you can call this quarter, you can call this 1/2 inches, you can call this 1 inch. Okay, so from this point to this point is 1 inches, and you know that from this point to this point, 1/2 inches. Also from this point to this point is still 1/2 inches. So this 1/2 inches plus this 1/2 inches makes 1 inch. Of course, you know that when you divide 1 into 2, you're going to have half half. Okay, so this half, from here to this half makes it 1. And then if you want to divide this as well, this is the half. Okay, so from here to here is half, and this is the half of from here to here, which is quarter. Okay, so from here to here is quarter, from here to here is half, from here to here is 1. Okay, so that's how you're just going to be reading it. So from here to this point is 2 inches, from here to this point is 3 inches. So there are times you want to measure something, and let's say it stops here, and you want to read the measurement, you will know that it is 3 inches and quarter. Okay, 3 inches and quarter. All right, so let's measure this pen so that I will show you what I mean. So let's say you want to measure this, and we have a pen here. You want to measure this right from here, and you want to make sure you are placing your startup point from the beginning of what you are measuring. Okay, so let's place it from here, and you take it. So you can see that this pen measures 5.5 inches. Okay, 5.5 inches. This is half line. All right, so whatever we had calculated here from the beginning, you can still find it here. So you can see it measures 5.5. Likewise, when you want to measure your body, okay, when you put the tape round, you want to make sure, let's use my wrist for example. I'm measuring my wrist, I'm going to place the tape like so, which is the startup line at this number 1, and then bring this other part. It's going to meet. So wherever they meet, that is where your measurement has been taken. So you can see that this part, which is our startup line, meets this line here. So it means that my sleeve or my round wrist measurement is 7 inches. So if I'm to make an outfit or to make a sleeve, and I want to know the measurement to use for this part of the sleeve, okay, I know that I have taken down 7 inches. Or if you want it more loose, if you're not making a fitted sleeve, a pencil sleeve, you want a loose sleeve, you can just measure the desired width of how you want. You can just measure how wide you want that sleeve to be, and whatever you get, you can note that down. So this is just how to read tape. Make sure that when you want to measure, you are using the startup. This is a startup line, which I labeled as 0, to measure whatever you want to measure. So as tailors, these fractions that we have mentioned may be confusing to you. So there are specific measurements that you should bear to heart, and I've mentioned that it is this quarter inch, this half inches, this is still half inches, and this is 1 inch. However, in case these fractions are very strange to you or maybe confusing to you, as tailors, this is what we call these significant fractions. Okay, so this quarter inches, we call it 0.25. Okay, this we call it 0.5, that is half inches, and this we call it 0.75, and this we call it 1 inch. Okay, so this was the general fraction I gave you as people using tape generally. Okay, but as tailors, when we want to add up some inches and all that, this is how we refer to it so that it's not confusing. This is 0.25, we call this 0.25, we call this 0.5, we call this 0.75, and 1 inch. So if I tell you what I've measured is 2 inch plus 0.25, it means this is where my measurement is going to be. This is 2 inch plus 0.25. Okay, if I ask you to show me 0.75, this is 0.75. If I ask you to show me 4 inch plus 0.75, this is 4 inch plus 0.75. If I ask you to show me 4 inch plus 0.5, it means 4 inch plus 0.5, or we still call it half inch. So if the figures are confusing to you, you can just call this quarter inch, half inches, 3/4 inches, and then 1 inch. Okay, so quarter inch, half inch, 3/4, 1 inch. Okay, so these are the tailoring terms we are going to use for this course for you to understand. So if the 1A to A3A will be confusing to you, just go with this. This is quarter inch, half inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch. Or you can call it 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1 inch. I hope this makes sense. So it applies to the figure depending on where it is. 10.25, this is 10.25, 10.05, this is 10.05, 10.075, this is 10.075. I hope you understand how it applies. So if the 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 inch is confusing you, you could just call it how I've explained it. Okay, do well to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.